call for chow, but you want to eat something now. You'll go for lunch with Boar's Rockets. When your team is getting cream and your winger's out of steam, recharge your toss ball through with Boar's Rockets. Soon you can save the day with Boar's Rockets. When your ship's adrift and lost and the crew starts drawing lots, why won't your mates when you've got Boar's Rockets? Boar's Rockets. Boar's Rockets. Put a rocket in your pocket and launch your lunch today.
All right, Matt, let's go ahead.
Let's take this guy out.
Oh, wow. That was a pretty nasty headshot. All right. What do we got here? What do we got here? Oh, see, we got the golden shroud display key. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Nice.
And she had some armor.
Oh, yep. That's
you see it's poisoning you.
Iranium.
It's poisoning you right now. But why don't we take a look around? There's some good stuff to loot here.
Oh, that looks
All right,
sick.
so we unlocked that with lockpick. Yeah, no, that's a pretty nice looking weapon. Let's use that later. We grabbed a helmet. Again, I'm sure a priceless protectorate artifact.
It's over here.
That looks like a pitchball card or a tossball card.
Nice.
So these are pretty cool. You can actually collect these, and if you collect enough of them, you get a cool reward later on if you find the quest.
It looks like that one gave me some extra health, too.
Yeah, I think you're going to need that. I've seen how you play. And you can see Tristan's jumping right in there as well.
You can take on that melee guy.
Okay, okay. Yeah, well, you missed that.
Let's take this guy out.
All right.
Give Niles a little bit of help.
Yeah. You might want to take out some of the cover too. So something here is we have destructible cover. Taking this stuff out and destroying it means that enemies cannot use that as cover spots.
Take this guy's out.
Yeah, so there you go. So you can see right there,
Nice.
you're able to knock him out of cover. Just get some free shots on him that way.
One guy over here.
All right. And that's all cleaned up. Let's go loot the bodies and we'll head inside the tomb.
Gotta get that loot.
Gotta get the loot. Truly gotta get the loot.
Oh yeah.
We take a look into the next room though. There's some windows over there we should be able to see inside.
Yeah, let's see what's over here.
Yep, just like I suspected, there's some auto mechanicals. I don't know if we want to fight those just yet. Why don't we find a way to distract them? Oh, yeah, as you can see right there, we have a cable leading to the back. Maybe there's something there we can use to distract them.
Let's take a look.
Yep, there we go. Not only do we find loot, but we have engineering panel that we can use. Yeah, so it looks like that will disengage the lock.
But it'll cost you bits each time you take damage. So it's costly, but it can be really effective.
Yeah?
Pretty good for a Monarch.
I think pretty good for a Monarch. They can afford it. All right, let's look for that secret exit.
Right.
Well, let's loot stuff first.
More loot.
Oh, look, right there.
Oh, yeah.
You see the observation eye. Yeah.
Looks like the remains are worth a lot.
We're going to definitely sell those. I don't know who's going to buy them, but they're worth a lot. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look around. Still looking for that secret entrance to the top secret facility.
And just in case we get into combat, I'm actually gonna equip my shield gadget
Yeah,
here.
that's a good idea.
And sure enough, more automechs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take them out.
And you got to be careful with these guys, especially because they leak Zeranium, and Zeranium can actually empower automechanical.
Let's skip the diplomacy.
Chemically enhancing your statistically unsafe lifestyle.
This might sting. A lot.
Ooh, an enemy.
Son of a spread.
Be grateful you're not on fire.
And no, you can't sleep with them.
And then you have the other aspect, which is, you know, some of our areas have like these larger quests and like larger implications for what happens. And so you go in there, you solve a quest in a very specific way, and you have multiple radio stations which are commenting on it, right? Like very early on, there's an automechanical repair facility that you're going into, and they have a big problem, which is they're leaking uranium gas, which is a highly toxic gas. And they're like, hey, we're having lots of problems. And so you can go in there and they want you to help fix this. And, you know, like a good Obsidian RPG, you can help fix that if you have, especially if you have the skills and whatever, or you can even make it worse and make it so they can never fix it by completely sabotaging it. And depending on what you do, both the Auntie's Choice and Protectorate radio stations have something to say about that, right? If you help them out, the Protectorate hails what a great job it was for them to hire this contractor that came in and help fix this thing. And, you know, and then if you fix that thing, the Auntie's Choice talks about you as, you know, this horrible presence that is helping out the Protectorate and, you know, not helping them. And so we do that in a lot of different places, and it really kind of makes the world feel alive. Like, again, it's just reacting to all of the things that you're kind of doing there.
This is the sequel, so I'm imagining there's a lot of different considerations when you're making a sequel, but there are also probably a lot of players who are going to be playing the Outer Worlds 2 and haven't played Outer Worlds 1. What can they expect? Tell us a little bit about what the game is.
Yeah, sure. So the Outer Worlds 2 is a big open world CRPG. You know, it's in the vein of something like a Fallout or Skyrim, if people are familiar with that. You can do dang near anything. You know, if you want to go guns blazing into stuff, we have options for that. You can talk your way through most things. You can stealth and sneak through a bunch of different things. Lots of choice and lots of reactivity and lots of consequences for those choices.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the hallmark of an Obsidian game, right? Everything that you're doing. And like the combat's improved. I was watching the previews and I got to play it myself, and it is everything that I think an Obsidian game should be, but like it's clear that you all are taking it to the next level. So I'm excited to play it when it comes out.
Excellent.
Security system's been activated. Run! Do not push me.
But it's also kind of almost like a museum. You get a lot of really cool lore elements in there as well. So we're going to see a lot of that as we play through. All right, why don't we go get that golden shroud, though?
All right.
But looting, of course, first,
Yeah,
obviously. I don't know why we didn't think of that. So yeah, here's the golden shroud, and we have the key. Let's open it up. All right. Now go ahead and loot it, and then let's take a look at that. That's where you can see he's overcharged. Yeah, and he took out. Yeah, he already took out Tristan really fast. He's taking you out as well. Did you get him? All right, cool. All right.
Therefore, it is impossible for this automechanical to...
All right, so now we're in, and you can see we have some foil. That's good for crafting. All right.
Power cell error.
All right, let's see where this guy's going.
Has been partially depleted due to inertia. This presentation will continue until audience.
Yeah, it looks like he's
recognition
actually heading
is
into that room
received.
with the automechanicals. Maybe we can use him like a good distraction there.
Gloria Arcadia. Gloria Arcadia. Gloria Arcadia. Pathing obstructed. Rerouting. Error. Reroute.
This
Failed.
area is not.
You can see again some of those more lore-based museum elements. You see some of the murals. You see some vignettes that are set up. Why don't we actually take a look at one of those vignettes?
For my next gift, I bestow upon you the pinnacle of automechanical design, far superior to all automechanicals that came before. The time once spent in numbing manual labor may now be spent in harmonious community with your neighbor and in humble service to the Protectorate. May art and science flourish in these many hours, which I have returned to you.
Warning. Power at 13%. Power cell has been partially depleted due to inaction.
But why don't we go down there and make his day a little bit worse?
We really, started from scratch and stood up this IP with no previous knowledge of what it was going to be, just coming up with the early ideas, how we're going to fit it all together, what it's going to look like visually, how that's going to represent our robber barons in space aesthetic. We have this whole turn of the century from the 19th to 20th century. What's the retro future is with that as a touchstone? How are the factions going to be represented? All that stuff is kind of tied up in how the writing is going to go and how we're going to represent the different characters and factions in the game.
So we're here to talk about the radio and some of the interactivity and all that kind of stuff. What was it about that concept that made it like, whatever we're going to put in the game, this definitely needs to be in it because it's so important to the game?
Yeah, it was one of those things very early on, just talking with Leonard and Matt Singh. We were like, all right, we definitely want to have a radio. How do we want this thing to work? How do we want to piece this thing together? And kind of what's important to those things. Obviously, it's a good vector for reactivity. And so we use that a good amount in there where the things that you're doing in the world get commented on by all of the DJs in the different radio stations. It's also a really good way to get like a little preview of the life of the people in that faction. You don't always get that when you're interacting with the content itself, at least at that deep level sometimes. And so having the radio, it just lets you, what kind of stuff do they listen to in terms of the music itself? But like what type of ads are they having? What kind of PSAs are you hearing? And that really kind of just sets the...
Some of the best games have had those elements. So it's really cool to see that you all are building that into the game. Just as a baseline for folks who are jumping into Outer Worlds 2 for the first time, actually. Right.
But if you see that, like, they actually truly do think that they are spreading freedom and choice to people that don't have it, and they're confused why they don't want it in some cases. They're like, you can do whatever you want. Like, yeah, you have to work hard, you have to maybe, cut some throats and step over some people to get what you really need, but you can go do that. You have the freedom to go do that. When you're a Protectorate subject, you didn't have the ability to do that. And so, I think it's really interesting that we kind of leaned really hard on that and really kind of showed the cool stuff about him as well.
Yeah, I mean, in movies, TV, games, no bad guy ever thinks they're bad, right?
Right.
And so some of the best characters have that nuance. They have that depth where they believe that they're doing the right thing. And like those are the best bad guys, so to speak. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more into the DJs, and obviously they're anything but neutral, right? So can you tell me a little bit about what the writing process was like for that and the casting process?
The Antes was probably the easiest for us to kind of like wrap our heads around because that was pretty much a continuation of the kind of like the aesthetic and the vibe we set up in the first game, and the type of humor. We did add, the whole self-betterment, self-determination thing, individuality, which wasn't a big part of it in the first game. So we kind of added that element to it where they're kind of using that as their sales slogans. But from there, it was really kind of tough to figure out
We've increased the variety of weapons by including new weapon types, but also through a host of fun and unique weaponry. We have things like the Bourse Blaster that fires out tumors that can explode like grenades, or can even be eaten by the player for additional health. We have a weapon called Rookie's Reward that will actually level up the more you use it throughout the game. And every time it levels up, it's got fun fanfare where it's like shooting out confetti and it's got a fun little setup. We have a really fun weapon called the pop-up gun. It fires out ad drones that will distract your enemies with corporate ads, slogans, and jingles. While your enemies are distracted, you can focus fire on them or explode these drones for additional damage. New to the Outer Worlds 2 are throwables. So you can use frag grenades to flush out enemies, smoke grenades to camouflage and escape, distraction devices to bait enemies into a stealth attack, and even science grenades that will levitate enemies, allowing you to fire upon them while they float helplessly. And of course, science weapons are back. We have returning favorites, like the shrink ray. This time it's been upgraded so you can shrink your enemy down to the size of a sprat and run over them, exploding them into bits.
The shrink ray, that was probably my favorite one from the first game, so we brought it into the second game, but we improved it though. So instead of shrinking your enemies for a short period of time and having them re-expand, this time they stay shrunk, and we actually added in the ability to step on them and kind of squish them and kick them, because we knew that that was the player fantasy. We knew that's what everybody wanted to do. They wanted to step on the enemies, they wanted to kick them, so we made sure to double down on that stuff.
In addition to things like our returning favorites, we also have some really fun and unique new science weapons. One of them is called the Armageddon. This one's really cool because it actually shoots out these masses that are like these little arms that will stick to people or cover or all kinds of different things, and they will continue to just hit them until they get destroyed. And we have another one that's just super cool called the Spectrum Dance Saber. This is a melee weapon that actually lets you attack to a musical beat. And if you continue to do that, you'll actually get additional bonuses each hit you do. One of my personal favorite weapons is called the Big Bang. It's just a big freaking gun that uses material harvested from rifts to shoot out a giant ball of energy, vaporizing everything in its path. Now, ammo's extremely rare for this weapon, but you can use it in just the right situation to devastating effects.
Like another great one is Gary. If you wear Gary, he will lash out at your opponents as you're walking through combat. So we even have science armors, and we've really kind of shown off what we thought was really great for the player from a science perspective.
We're all about letting people play the game their way. There are some players who prefer to be immersed in a first-person view, taking in all of the details. But there are others who really prefer to take the world in from a third-person perspective. Why not allow both? Well, now you can swap between the two, letting you enjoy the experience in whatever way you like. One of the things I really like about having the third-person mode is being able to see all of the fun and unique armors and armor combinations and weapons that you can equip your player with. All of the actions that you could do in first person, so you're double jumping around, you get to see your character in that way, and you get to take in the world and see things in a different light.
Let the killing commence.
The Outer Worlds 2 is a sequel to The Outer Worlds 1. It's a continuation of the themes of robber barons in space and how people are controlled by the stories they're told by the people who have power over them. This time we're able to go a lot deeper because we have more time and money, which is a great thing, and we're able to make it a much more true Obsidian reactive RPG than we were the first time around. So we're going deeper and more complex with everything for this sequel. Deeper story, lore, RPG interactions, reactivity, all the things we've been known for as a company. It's really a complete realization of everything people want from an Obsidian game. Surprisingly, this is the first time in over 25 years that I've had the chance to do a full sequel for a world that I helped co-create. It's really just a fantastic opportunity to explore and expand the universe in interesting ways, and to go even further with the themes of how people are affected by living in a dystopian corporate reality.
You can shoot your way through it, you can talk your way through it, you can sneak your way through it. And so no matter what kind of play style that you like, this is just an awesome franchise and an awesome game to jump into, even if it's your first one.
The first Outer Worlds was a great base to start from, as it has all the elements of a great Obsidian RPG. Interesting characters, deep worlds, important choices. In the Outer Worlds 2, not only did we want to double down on those elements, but we wanted to give players even more of it.
We've also put a lot of investment into skills and traits that impact things like combat, conversations, and areas that we call RPG interactions, which are the part of the world where players can use their specific skills, perks, and backgrounds to solve problems in unique ways in our new, bigger worlds.
I love a deep RPG experience, and building out that RPG crunchiness for our players was at the forefront of what we set out to create. We prioritize those deeper RPG options with different character builds and combos so players can express their role-playing power fantasies. We also have different equipment options for different playstyles and different companions with different abilities. In the first Outer Worlds, you start off as the Stranger.
We'll actually give you the option to take this flaw that'll make it so that you move faster throughout the game. But the problem is, anytime you stand up, your knees are going to make a loud popping noise that makes it so that, well, everyone around you is going to hear you.
There's one called Kleptomaniac. This is really interesting because what it does is when you steal something, you can actually sell it for more bits than normal. And like that sounds really great. The drawback is sometimes when you're looking at things in the world that are owned by somebody else, you'll automatically steal them. So you have to be very careful about how you use them.
One of our more wacky perks is the Sun Gazer Flaw, and it just gives everyone cataracts while playing their game. So everything becomes like light shafts and blooms and hazes, and makes the game pretty unplayable if you happen to choose that perk.
If you happen to be the type of player that habitually reloads your weapons like I do, well, you'll be offered the flaw of over-prepared. Now, you'll get larger magazine sizes on all of your weapons, but if you ever fully empty your magazine, you're gonna take a debuff for a while. While we support options like being a gunslinger who wants to key into destructive weapons, or a rogue who wants to alpha strike their enemies before they know what hit them, we also allow for a lot of fun and experimental builds. You can be a mad scientist who utilizes gadgets and wacky science weapons and armors, or even a psychopath who gains permanent bonuses to health by murdering their friends.
Nothing shows the impact of these character build options better than, in my opinion, the bridge area, which has a quest you get early on in Paradise Island. Not only do you kind of encounter this very early, and it's a very core one to the story, but it really expresses our philosophy of allowing the player to solve problems in a bunch of ways. So you may solve it by, speech options. You may talk to them and maybe have to go do a quest for them and really kind of prove that you're a friend of the Protectorate to get by.
I may have need of your help, stranger, if you are ready to seize an opportunity to show fealty to the Protectorate.
You could go guns blazing, and you could just take everyone out inside the POI, lower the bridge itself, and kind of get across. You could sneak in, lower the bridge, and then actually sneak in under the bridge to get over to the other side. You can bypass the bridge entirely if you found like certain gadgets, like the shield gadget that protects you from poison gas as you go across, or the double jump boots, which kind of allow you to jump across the chasm and get across that way. There's even a really kind of messed up way, right? Which is players can actually sacrifice one of their companions. Their companion who they just found is part of.
We're no different than the Breeze if we start tossing our own to the rats. I sure as law ain't gonna follow someone who can't see the wrong in it.
I must admit I'm surprised we could come to an understanding. But I thank you for your loyalty, stranger. As promised, you shall have clearance to cross this bridge.
It's such a fun quest, but again, it really showcases that we want you to be able to solve this in whatever way you want to. When you build your character your way, we're there for you. We really want you to have the experience that you want to have out of this.
From the very beginning of our discussions about the Outer Worlds, we really knew we wanted every game to take place in a different colony. This lets us expand on all aspects of the universe. Every colony can be its own thing with its own flavor, and we can center them around anything we want, any ideas or setting we're interested in. Arcadia is an isolated colony with abundant resources, and it's run by an authoritarian faction called the Protectorate. Their dictatorship is thematically based around the question of how much freedom people will give up for security and luxury. For Protectorate
is an Earth Directorate agent. You can think of them as kind of like space cowboys or space sky marshals. They're the good guys that go into places and kind of fix everything that's wrong. You're gonna be one of those. But we don't tell you why you joined the Earth Directorate. There could have been a lot of different reasons, right? It could have been because you're an actual lawbringer and you want to go in there and spread law throughout the galaxy. It could be that you're a roustabout and you just had nothing better to do. After you pick your background, one of the really important choices you have next is choosing your traits. While we had attributes in the first Outer Worlds, we've leaned into traits for the Outer Worlds too, which are these big changes to your character depending on which ones you pick. So it could be something like Brilliant, where you can tag extra skills and you start getting extra skill points. And that's obviously really great if that's how you want to build your character. You can also go and do something like Lucky, where you get extra critical chance, and you also get a lot of really cool options throughout the game as well. Of course, we brought back Dumb, so players love the Dumb option.
Tell me, do you believe in signs? Not quite what I meant, but I like your contempt for boundaries. I could put your adventurous spirit to good use.
You get like lots of really cool, fun conversation options in the game, but we took that even further. And again, there's lots of elements in the game where you can be dumb and use that for something. Could be something as simple as banging on a machine to get it to work. After you've invested in some of your traits, your next choices are going to be choosing your skills. The skills themselves basically allow you to build on your playstyle and what your character is doing in the game. That will be everything from playing stealthily to speccing for an explosive specialty. Throughout your entire journey, your character continues to change with the different choices you make. In the Outer Worlds 1, actually had more skills than we have, so we condensed them down to really the core and essence of what we really wanted there. But we made each point that you put into a skill much more impactful. So instead of getting small percentage changes, we actually did much larger changes per point that you put into each skill. And again, all these things, because of how they're checked inside the world itself, can matter quite a bit. You know, just even having one additional skill point in something can open up a lot more options in the world itself. If anybody's played Fallout New Vegas, they'll be very familiar with like the perk system. We basically borrowed that, but went even grander. We actually have more perks than Fallout New Vegas did. But here's the cool thing, right? We check and use perks for literally everything, right? So you can do everything from, hey, I want to make a stealthy build that steals stuff and is really good at that. Okay, great. Well, you can take maybe the pickpocketing perk. So that's not available to everybody, but if you select that, now you can actually go around and steal things out of people's pockets. There's another perk called heavy-handed, right? Where say you're a melee person, what this does is now your power attacks that you use actually knock people down.
Oh man, I really like the serial killer perk. As you start killing people, they will drop hearts. And you can take those hearts, and essentially you're taking these trophies, you could say, and it's actually giving you a permanent health bonus every time you do it. We have this perk called Assassin. Now, this is an early game perk that you can take, which every time you stealth attack an enemy, you're actually going to get a movement bonus for a certain amount of time.
corporate representatives in the Outer Worlds too. They've invaded Arcadia to liberate the resources for all of humanity, at a profit, of course.
One of my favorite things from Fallout New Vegas is the radio system. It was just iconic for me, and I wanted to make sure that the Outer Worlds 2 had that. So we actually built out 3 different radio stations, one for each of the major factions. You also have a ton of music. Each station might have, like, I think 20 tracks of unique music that we've made for it. It's a lot of stuff. But the really cool part about this entire thing is that we actually put a lot of reactivity into the radio. So it will respond to the things that are going on around the world that you've been interacting with. So if you go into a location, let's say you solve a problem for the Protectorate folks, if you listen to the Protectorate radio station, they're gonna be cheering you on as a hero.
Wonderful news, everyone. The Zeranium gas leaks at the Automech repair facility, strongly believed to be caused by Auntie's choice malefactors, have been corrected.
Some hotshot for hire just managed to fix the electrum leak in their repair facility. Now, I'm not saying we caused it in the first place, but we sure like the idea of all those broken automechanicals and all the excessive gasping and choking involved.
Pointless warfare. We came to spread freedom and liberate resources for profit. But this pesky Earth Directorate agent is mucking things up. They're not alone in doing so. And they think they can just choose how things play out. They could stop us from stealing the Protectorate's brainwashing technology, which we need to improve our market share. What if this stranger aligned with the Order and that world computer of theirs? That could be the key to closing the rifts that threaten the colonies. So, you see why this menace must be wiped from the face of existence. Or, better yet, brought to our side through the power of capitalism. Now, let's get out there and buy our way to victory!
I'm yearning and yearning for you. My heart and red in you. Every last bit of my way, every last bit that I'm paid, every last bit that I save is intended for you. The cost may be high. One day, I know you'll be mine. Someday, perhaps I'll own two. For now, I'll take one that's brand new. 'Cause I'm yearning and burning for you.
I care that the colony is in disarray. We didn't come to Arcadia to get bogged down in pointless warfare. We came to spread freedom and liberate resources for profit. But this pesky Earth Directorate agent is mucking things up. They're not alone in doing so. And they think they can just choose how things play out. They could stop us from stealing the Protectorate's brainwashing technology, which we need to improve our market share. What if this stranger aligned with the Order and that world computer of theirs? That could be the key to closing the rifts that threaten the colonies. So, you see why this menace must be wiped from the face of existence. Or, better yet, brought to our side through the power of capitalism. Now, let's get out there and buy our way to victory!
I'm yearning and yearning for you. My heart and red in you. Every last bit of my way, every last bit that I'm paid, Every last bit that I save is intended for you.
The Outer Worlds 2 is an upcoming single-player action role-playing game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Xbox Game Studios, serving as the highly anticipated sequel to the critically acclaimed 2019 title. Set for release on October 29, 2025, the game will be available for Xbox Series X, S, PlayStation 5, and PC, launching day one on Xbox Game Pass. The story unfolds in the newly introduced Arcadia star system, a distant colony fractured by mysterious space-time rifts and the growing influence of competing corporate powers. Players assume the role of an agent of the Earth Directorate, dispatched to Arcadia to investigate the cause of these anomalies and navigate a complex web of political, scientific, and corporate intrigue. The colony is divided between various powers, including the authoritarian Protectorate, corporations eager to exploit the instability for profit, and radical scientific groups attempting to harness the rift's potential. Unlike the Halcyon colony from the first game, Arcadia introduces an entirely new cast of characters, ecosystems, and settlements spread across multiple planets and orbital installations. The tone remains true to the series' DNA, an irreverent blend of dark humor, corporate satire, and retro-futurist aesthetics, while broadening the scope of its narrative themes to explore questions of identity, control, and the morality of progress in a fractured frontier society. Building on the strengths of the original, The Outer Worlds 2 significantly expands its RPG systems and player-driven design. Players can now freely switch between first-person and third-person perspectives, offering more flexibility in exploration and combat. Character creation is more detailed than ever, with an expanded range of origins, traits, and flaws. Each flaw grants additional perk points, allowing players to specialize their build in creative ways, while new skill groupings and streamlined progression ensure that each level up feels impactful. Combat has undergone a major overhaul. Gunplay feels weightier and more responsive, featuring refined recoil, improved aiming mechanics, and a broader selection of ranged and melee weapons, from energy rifles and plasma launchers to experimental gadgets that manipulate time and gravity. Stealth and diplomacy have been deepened as well, with social and environmental skill checks influencing not only dialogue outcomes, but also access to hidden areas, mission paths, and alternate endings. Companion characters return with more reactive personalities and unique skill sets. Their loyalty, morale, and personal storylines can evolve based on player choices and factional alliances. The companion AI has been upgraded to support more dynamic combat behavior and conversational interjections, making them feel like true partners rather than passive followers.
The narrative structure places even greater emphasis on choice and consequence. Quests feature multiple branching paths that adapt to player behavior, not only through dialogue, but also through reputation, past decisions, and world state changes. The main story is designed to be just one thread within a much larger tapestry of faction conflicts, side missions, and emergent events that can dramatically reshape Arcadia depending on how the player engages with the world. Factions are central to The Outer Worlds 2's design philosophy. The Protectorate serves as the colony's militarized governing body, enforcing control through monopoly on faster-than-light travel. Opposing them are various corporations, such as Auntie's Choice, whose cheerful branding masks ruthless exploitation, and a rogue collective of scientists who view the rifts as a gateway to a new era of human advancement, regardless of the risks. Each faction offers distinct quests, rewards, and philosophies, and the player's alliances or betrayals determine the broader outcome of Arcadia's future. Aligning with one group may grant access to powerful technology or resources, while alienating others, and some endings can only be unlocked through complex combinations of diplomacy, sabotage, or subterfuge. The result is a living, reactive world where reputation matters, and every decision carries weight. The game is powered by Unreal Engine 5, delivering a massive leap in visual fidelity and scale compared to its predecessor. Environments are more diverse, ranging from glittering megacities and desert wastelands to alien jungles and rift-scarred landscapes filled with dynamic lighting and atmospheric effects.
Improved animation systems, volumetric weather, and a redesigned UI contribute to a more immersive and cinematic presentation. Traversal has been expanded, allowing players to climb, glide, and use new mobility tools to reach otherwise inaccessible areas. Interior hubs and planetary surfaces blend seamlessly, enhancing immersion and reducing loading interruptions. Obsidian has also overhauled the game's technical foundation to support larger environments, more detailed character models, and improved AI behavior across combatants and civilians alike. In keeping with Obsidian's storytelling heritage, The Outer Worlds 2 maintains the franchise's satirical edge, using humor and exaggeration to critique corporate greed, bureaucracy, and the commodification of progress. Yet beneath the satire lies a deeper, more introspective narrative about responsibility, free will, and the cost of ambition. The writing team has promised that, while the game remains funny, it will also explore more mature, emotional territory than the first. Now you can enjoy the screenshots without any interruption. Enjoy.